Hey guys, not gonna give a long intro, so let's just jump right in. This is part 2 of the world's strangest and scariest statues. If you haven't seen part 1, be sure to check it out where I cover this cursed Lucifer statue in the Denver International Airport to one of the most fascinating yet uncanny underwater statue of Jesus Christ in Malta. Like part 1, I'm again joined with Munkybooty and ZenaBox. Links to both their channels are in the description below. Let's begin, and forgive us for any mispronunciation. Panoptikum, Prague, Czechia. There's actually not much to find info on this statue, only that it's sculpted by a man named Adam Trubusek, likely around 2014, and it was placed at a few locations around Pilsen before permanently moving to Prague. While the official name is Panoptikum, many refer to it as Pink Bunny Devouring Man or something like that. Since it was made around the mid-2010s, the bunny statue has already decayed a bit, later losing an eye and the pink slowly fading away. A lot of users compared the sculpture to the disturbing painting of Francisco Goya's 1823 Saturn devouring his son.
Haserot Angel, Cleveland, Ohio. The idea of angels usually follow the connotations of protection and life. Despite this, there have been instances where that wasn't entirely true. A very famous example being the weeping angels from the show Doctor Who, sentient stone statues that move with murderous speed when not directly looked at. That being said, that's only a work of fiction. At least I hope it is. The Angel of Death Victorious, more commonly known as the Haserot Angel, was built by Herman Matson in 1924. This bronze statue was commissioned by Francis Henry Haserot for a gravestone installation after his wife died. It depicts an angel sitting down with an extinguished torch in its hands staring straight ahead, wings slightly opened and resting on the marble stone. After more than a century, the bronze really shows its age with staining and oxidation, turning the statue green and giving it its most notable feature: blackened tears. To make things even more creepy, people who have visited the cemetery where the angel is located in have reported that the statue actively cries or that they've seen it move. Hopefully, it was just their minds playing tricks on them.
The Ocean's Atlas. Considered to be the world's largest underwater sculpture, located in Nassau, Bahamas, this artwork depicts a Bahamian girl carrying the ocean above her, similar to the ancient Greek myth of Atlas, the titan who held up the heavens. This statue was installed in 2014 by Jason Decaying Taylor. You've probably heard of Taylor due partly by his work on the Molinear Underwater Sculpture Park in Granada. According to Jason's website, the statue reaches 5 meters up from the seafloor to the surface and weighs over 60 tons. At low tide, the work reflects a mirror image on the underside of the sea's surface. It's a drastic increase in scale from Taylor's previous works and still ensures that, even after substantial coral growth, the figure will still remain highly recognizable. A solar light and flag is located on the highest point to aid marine navigation. Constructed using sustainable pH neutral materials, Ocean Atlas creates an artificial reef for marine life to colonize and inhabit, whilst drawing tourists away from overstressed natural reef areas. With our oceans and coral reefs currently facing collapse from numerous threats including overfishing, habitat loss, ocean acidification, global warming, and water pollution, the piece symbolizes the burden we are currently asking future generations to carry and the collective responsibility we must all accept in preventing its collapse. You may also hear about Jason in this and later videos when we visit other underwater sculptures.
Children are victims of adult vices. Moscow, Russia. Childhood is a fantastic but fragile thing, and unfortunately there are some issues that stem from the parents or quote-unquote adults. Created in 2001 by My Hall, this statue depicts some of the major vices that adults commit, personified as monsters around two blindfolded children that are playing. 13 creatures, each differing wildly from each other as they portray a different vice. The complications of war, the crippling addictions to drugs and alcohol, to the active theft and exploitations of kids for labor. As stated by Myhall, quote, "I created the sculptural composition 'Children are the victims of adults' vices' as a symbol and a call to action to save the living and the future generations. With the notion that society hasn't stopped, or at least addressed the issues in some manner, Myhall speaks to those that are of level-headed individuals to stop and think before it's too late. Don't be indifferent."
So, this one is kind of bizarre. On the side of the road of Ika, in the Mie Prefecture, Japan, you'll find something, or someone, very out of place. That someone is Sonic the Hedgehog, riding on a snowboard. Even weirder is that behind him is a pretty spooky forest. The snowboarding hedgehog became a Japanese meme in 2015, when a few YouTube motorcyclists spotted the statue during the recording of one of their videos. The internet soon got wind of this mysterious Sonic statue, as people took to Google Maps to see if they could spot him, and sure enough, he was there. Dirty and old, being in that same spot assumingly for many years. So, how did Sonic get there? Well, internet sleuths managed to find that the same statue was used for Sega World in the mid-1990s, and later sold at auction. The buyer later displayed the statue next to the road to reportedly help direct any visitors he may have to their hidden driveway. Kind of a weird mailbox if you ask me. After the mystery on how the Sonic statue got there was solved, many fans offered to restore Sonic to his former glory, and now, he looks pretty cool. All I know is, if I'm ever in the area, I hope they have chili dogs.
Amazing Laughter, Vancouver, Canada. Amazing Laughter is a sculpture designed by Yue Minjun and was installed in Morton Park, Vancouver in 2009. The bronze sculpture features 14 statues, each around 3 meters tall and weighing over 250 kilograms. These statues depict the artist himself in a state of hysterical laughter. These sculptures was created for the Vancouver International Sculpture Biennale, an event showcasing contemporary artworks in public spaces. It was donated to the city of Vancouver by Chip and Shannon Wilson through the Wilson 5 Foundation on August 11th of 2012. The sculpture aims to inspire laughter, playfulness, and joy for people around the area, yet it gives off a creepy vibe.
Quasi, Wellington, New Zealand. Perched atop a building, a statue made of polystyrene, resin, and steel looms over the landscape of Wellington. The sculpture being that of a giant hand, posed as if its fingers were arms and legs, sporting an expressionless yet realistic face. Created by Ronnie Van Hout in 2016, this sculpture was met with mixed feelings. Some people seem to love the strangeness of the statue, with some posting about the bizarre sighting of seeing a giant hand being placed on a rooftop via helicopter. Though some found the statue to be unsettling, repulsive, and even resembling a certain political figure in the US. This just so happens to be a coincidence, since the statue was made with photoscanned images of Ronnie's hand and face, making this sculpture more or less a self-portrait. Of course, people had thoughts and criticisms about the piece regardless. One critic, Warren Faney, even made an article listing off 10 reasons why Quasi is out of place and would have been better off as a smaller scale one-time showing at an art festival. I mean, I gotta hand it to him. I'm not one to point the finger at certain flaws, but he really knuckled up and said what needed to be said. Good King Wenceslas, Prague, Czech Republic. In Wenceslas Square, located in Prague, you'll find the famous monument of Saint Wenceslas I, depicting the Duke of Bohemia in his Norman armor and on his horse, assuming a position of defending his homeland from the Mongol armies triumphantly. So while the statue is meant to honor the saint, there exists another depiction of the Duke, one of more mocking nature. Hanging from the ceiling of the Art Nouveau Lucerna Palace in Prague, Wenceslas rides what appears to be a lifeless horse, hanging upside down from its feet. But Wenceslas doesn't seem to care. Created by David Cerny in 1999, the sculpture is a mocking reference and possibly a nod to the Czech president at the time, Václav Havel, though David won't actually say what its intentions were when creating this controversial yet dark humor art. You'll hear from David later on in this video, as he's known for his other piece of unsettling art that is far more stranger than this. Abandoned Lady Liberty, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So everyone knows the Statue of Liberty, or Lady Liberty, in New York City, right? Well, she actually has a twin little sister. Located smack dab in the middle of the Susquehanna River stands a mini replica Statue of Liberty that is 25 feet tall. In actuality, this is the second mini Lady Liberty statue, as the first one was 18 feet tall and was made out of fiberglass and Venetian blinds. The original was erected in 1986 in some sort of patriotic prank to commemorate the Statue of Liberty in New York. Sadly, in 1992, the statue sustained heavy wind damage and got destroyed. So, the creator made a slightly bigger replacement, making this statue a replica of a replica. The current statue is the second Little Lady Liberty to hold her torch high above the old railway piling. No one knew who made it or how it got there, and no one would come forward to take the credit/blame. However, in the 6 years since she first appeared, the people of Harrisburg had grown rather fond of her and raised money to make a new replacement. This one was placed in 1997 via helicopter and lashed to the piling where it stands today. Fast forward to 2011, local lawyer Gene Stilp finally owned up to not only orchestrating the making of the statue, but also taking the dangerous trip into the river, climbing the piling, and help erecting the statue. His prank would become a permanent monument.
In 2008, Luciano Garbati created a role reversal of the Greek legend of Perseus. In short, Perseus was raised by his mother Danae in an island. One day, the king of the island wants to get rid of Perseus so that he can marry his mother. So he summoned him to do a quest that the king was sure Perseus would not complete and would die. He sent him to bring the head of Medusa, a being who had the ability to turn anyone that looked directly into her eyes to stone. With barely any weapons and no knowledge of where Medusa was, Perseus was doomed to fail. But with the help of a few gods, he eventually found Medusa in a cave, and using the shield to track her reflection, he got up and swung the sword he was given, and beheaded her. The story was an inspiration behind a few famous statues around the world. However, for this one in Collect Pond Park, Lower Manhattan, the roles were reversed. The statue depicts Medusa holding the head of Perseus in one hand while holding the sword in the other. Luciano grew up in Florence, Italy, where the statue of Perseus with the head of Medusa was displayed, and he admired the work and wanted to reverse the roles. Medusa, acting in self-defense, slain Perseus with presumably his own sword. The statue was then linked to the Me Too movement, and had comparisons that were drawn between Medusa and the Harvey Weinstein case. Luciano claimed that he wasn't aware of Medusa's status as a feminist icon when he made it. However, an icon for powerful women she became. In 2001, the renowned Mexican artist José Luis Cuevas unveiled a controversial sculpture titled The Obscene Figure. José Luis Cuevas, a prominent figure in the Mexican art scene, was known for his bold and confrontational style. Throughout his career, Cuevas had explored themes of existentialism, human suffering, and the complexities of modern life. The Obscene Figure represents a departure from Cuevas' earlier work, delving into the themes of sexuality, censorship, and societal taboos. The Obscene Figure is a life-size bronze sculpture depicting a distorted and grotesque human figure in a contorted position. The figure is devoid of any identifiable gender characteristics, with exaggerated features and limbs twisted in an unnatural manner. The sculpture exudes a sense of discomfort and unease, challenging viewers to confront their preconceived notions of beauty and normalcy. The majority preferred Cuevas' sculpture, but at the same time, the Obscene Figure stirred up controversy due to its provocative and obscene nature. Many locals found the sculpture inappropriate or creepy and compared it to an animal marking its territory. The sculpture's exaggerated form and contorted posture can be interpreted as a commentary on societal norms and the repression of human desires. The Colima Society of Historical Studies appreciated the artistic aspects of the piece, but recognized the concerns raised by the public. After 6 years of ongoing disputes, the sculpture was eventually relocated to the administrative complex around 300 meters from its original spot. By challenging societal norms and provoking uncomfortable conversations, Cuevas' sculpture invites viewers to question their assumptions about beauty, obscenity, and the boundaries of artistic expression. In doing so, the Obscene Figure remains a provocative and enduring work of art that continues to captivate and challenge audiences around the world.
We come in peace. Washington, D.C. The capital of the United States is known for its various museums, historical events, and monuments, such as the White House, Lincoln Memorial, Washington Monument, so on and so forth. Specifically, the Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden stands the We Come in Peace sculpture, built in 2018 by Huma. This sculpture was made as a commission for the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It depicts a multicolored alien figure cast in bronze, standing at 13 feet tall. Paired with another sculpture named Banam, these sculptures reference the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, where an alien visits Earth and has the line, "We have come to visit you in peace." Along with the movie reference, the installation can have multiple interpretations. As stated by Huma, the portrayal of Banam on the ground can imply that they are a deceased creature, and We Come in Peace is a rescuer from beyond, and unfortunately arrived too late.
Miminka, Prague, Czechia. Translated to babies, this is David Cerny's other famous artworks in the city of Prague. Miminkas, or babies, are these 10 large fiberglass sculptures with their face replaced with looks to appear barcodes. First appearing in 1994 at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago. Years later, in the year 2000 or 2001, the Miminkas crawled their way to Prague, where they defy gravity by crawling up the Žižkov television tower, a transmitter tower built around the mid-1980s to the early 90s, which went on to be named as the second most ugliest buildings in the world, thanks to the Miminkas. Even if you are far away from the tower, you can still easily spot the creepy crawlies invading the tower. You may be thinking there are only 10 of them up there, but in 2008, 6 more Miminkas can be found crawling on the ground around Kampa Island in Prague, which is there you can see how huge and creepy they really are.
If you've ever crossed the bridge in the George Washington Memorial, or commonly known as the Aurora Bridge in Seattle, you may be surprised to know that underneath the bridge lives an 18-foot tall troll made out of concrete, wire, and steel rebar. Known as the Fremont Troll, the giant was constructed in 1990 by 4 local artists for an art competition: Steve Badness, Will Martin, Donna Walter, and Ross Whitehead. The giant appears to have caught a Volkswagen Beetle in his grasp as he just swiped it from the roadway above. Drawing inspiration from Scandinavian folklore of trolls living underneath bridges to scare off or catch anyone who comes nearby, the troll's intent was to act as a form of hostile architecture to prevent any squatters and homeless people from taking residence under the bridge. It was also hoped to be a deterrent for crime and vandalism in the area. The troll kind of achieved this goal due to his size, grotesque appearance, and strategic placement in a public space, but it soon became a target of vandalism himself. The homeless population even began dumping trash on him. Originally, the car in his hand was supposed to be a time capsule with the plaster bust of Elvis Presley, but it was stolen when the sculpture was being vandalized. Apart from the homeless sending complaints about the troll, everyone else praised it, and in 2005, a street was renamed to Troll Avenue in honor of the sculpture. The troll even appeared in the 1999 romantic comedy film 10 Things I Hate About You. More recently, in 2022, after deciding not to have an octopus mascot, the Seattle Kraken hockey team introduced their new official mascot, Buoy, a blue sea troll, claiming to be the Fremont Troll's nephew. Even though the troll's intent was to scare off people, he later became a beloved landmark, and it even won 2023's Best Weird Wonder in the Northwest. Picture this. You're diving in the murky waters of what used to be an old mining pit, minding your own business, when suddenly, you stumble upon something straight out of a horror flick. An underwater statue of none other than Jason Voorhees. Sounds like something out of a campfire tale, right? Let's talk about how it got there. Now, if you're a horror aficionado, you're probably no stranger to Jason Voorhees, the machete-wielding hockey-masked killer from the Friday the 13th series. So, where did this underwater Jason Voorhees statue come from? An artist by the name of Doug Klein built this horrific piece and placed it 120 feet at the bottom of a popular spot for divers. Now picture this. You're face to face with Jason Voorhees, machete in hand, lurking amidst the algae-covered depths. Despite the creepy setting, there's something oddly captivating about seeing this horror icon in his element, surrounded by nothing but the eerie silence of the underwater world. It's like a scene straight out of the movies. After a few years underwater, the Jason statue is starting to show some wear and tear. But honestly, that just makes him look even more terrifying, like he's long overdue for a murder spree. Of course, This fate was not shared by the second statue placed by a scuba diver, Zachary Nagy, in a park in Arizona, which was removed by the park supervisor. We know Jason Voorhees is a fictional character, we know, but if we've ever gone into a body of water and come across this, we would have been horrified all the same. Who needs Hollywood when you've got your very own slice of horror history right in your backyard?
The Decaying Demon in the Mausoleum, Jelenia Góra, Poland. This huge and disturbing statue was made sometime around the mid-2010s, being used as a prop for a horror film titled Redwood, that was released on August 24th of 2017, which you can catch a quick glimpse of the demon sculpture in the background in the movie's trailer. After wrapping up filming, it was reported that the statue was left in an abandoned mausoleum behind, so parkgoers can find this monstrosity. From time to time, some will try to damage the sculpture for some reason, and others will attempt to repair it every time it's been damaged. But that didn't last long after a while when one day, the Decaying Demon was finally destroyed entirely, leaving the mausoleum empty.